Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's Digital Marketing Bootcamp. I'm Jeanette Rumsey, Corporate Education and Engagement Manager for AccuData Integrated Marketing and today's webinar moderator. Before we get started, I'd like to review a few important items with you. Questions can be submitted throughout today's webinar, but will be covered at the end of the presentation. Please use the Q&A panel within the GoToWebinar platform to submit your questions. If there are questions that we do not cover, feel free to email those to info@accudata.com for a prompt reply, or you may also contact your AccuData account representative directly by calling 800-732-3440. Next, I would like to introduce today's digital marketing experts, Erica Serrano and Celeste Pinacho. Erica is our Director of Email and Digital Marketing Solutions and has been with the company for 5 years. Her primary focus is supporting AccuData's clients through the optimization of multi-channel campaigns with digital strategy, accurate data sourcing, creative design, and campaign execution. Celeste is a sales executive and has been with AccuData since 2007. Celeste specializes in integrating email marketing, digital display advertising, and social media advertising into her clients' direct marketing mix. And at this point, Celeste, I'll go ahead and turn things over to you.
Okay, thank you, Jeanette, and I want to thank everyone for attending this Digital Marketing Bootcamp. We have some great topics to discuss, so let's begin with today's agenda. Today, we're going to talk about 2018 email design trends, display ad examples and understanding digital impressions, the digital marketing drivers, digital services born from online data, and then we're going to extend the conversation with social media advertising to include Facebook. Okay, so before we get into the soup and nuts of digital marketing, I would like to start with the reason that we are here by sharing this proof of concept with you. Because digital marketing will allow the brands that you represent to target customers and prospects like never before by leveraging a unique blend of marketing technologies. In turn, you benefit through the addition of new revenue streams and increased opportunities for business. So let's talk about how a large health insurance provider significantly improved their open enrollment renewals with the support of digital display advertising. This is really a very interesting case study. The objective: a health insurance provider for a large theme park needed to reach their employees to inform them of yearly renewal opportunities. The challenge was reaching those employees as their cell phones are not allowed in the theme park. They are only allowed in employees' areas such as parking lot and break areas. The solution: AccuData recommended mapping the locations of employee-only areas within the park, such as those parking lot and break areas, in order to identify their IP addresses. Digital display ads featuring information on the renewal opportunity were displayed to team members connected to the park's wireless network. The outcome: client was super happy. They matched last year's enrollment with over 8,000 renewals. Okay, so when it comes to digital marketing, as Erica always says, email is the heart of the digital ecosystem, and for most brands, it is the first step they take into online marketing. When you look at the benefits of email, it makes sense. Email is cost-effective. It helps to build relationships. Email is very quick to produce and deploy. Email provides timely results with detailed metrics, and it plays well with other channels for integrated strategies. Now, this last bullet really sums up the crux of today's conversation: introducing new channels, specifically digital display and social media. Okay, so let's turn things over to Erica, who will talk about some of the email design trends of 2018.
Thank you, Celeste.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Erica Serrano. It's a pleasure to be here. Before we get started on what Celeste mentioned is basically the crux of the presentation, introducing new channels such as digital display and social media, let's get started by actually talking about email marketing, because like Celeste said, email is the heart of the digital ecosystem. And what I want to share with you is some of the top email design trends in 2018, and then we'll go from there. So in trend 1, list segmentation and dynamic content, in this example, we see the customization of the subject line, and Hilton recognizes by name and the number of points with a personalization and recommendation on what your travel history is. So that is a good example of segmentation and dynamic content depending on who you are to that brand. Trend 2 is a mailable microsite. And as you can see in this example, what these are is they're emails that are designed with additional navigational attributes to look towards the page. So right here on the bottom, in the gray line, you can see the different navigational menu where you can click and go straight to that website or straight to that landing page. It's still an email, just looks like a little microsite. Trend 3. Contextual emails that show progress. We love this example by Vitamin Shoppe. It's got personalization for Jeanette, what the number of points are and what her purchases are. So it shows context to the reader and to the email recipient. And Celeste, can you take us through trend 4?
Sure. Trend 4 is text-only emails. Excuse me. Text-only emails are becoming very popular as consumers relate to text-only emails as being business communications, therefore probably personal and important. This is a good example from Carrabba's Wine Dinner. Okay, so trend 5, use of popular phrases in subject line and hero images. This trend is successful because when using phrases that are common, it immediately engages the consumer. So some of these examples would be, don't miss the boat, the early bird gets the worm, sorry, not sorry, and you're missing out. So you can see Hilton uses the line, come here.
I've seen some examples lately with the acronym FOMO, which is fear of missing out. And
that's a great one.
With that one too.
Okay, so trend 6, integrating social media. So integrating social media is a great way to drive visitors to your social sites by including a teaser in your email that requires the user to click a button or image that takes them to your social media site, such as Facebook, Instagram, or Pinterest.
I really like that example because here you see in the email, it's telling them to click there and it takes them straight to Instagram.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so moving on to trend 7, unique fonts highlighting key phrases. The use of new and inviting fonts and colors is a great way to catch your audience's attention. You'll notice in the example on the screen, the red is bold, it's highlighted, and it's bright and red. It immediately it draws your eye right to that particular word. And that's what this unique typography does.
Yeah, I like that they also did cursive.
Absolutely.
In the text.
Absolutely. Trend 8, interactive elements. Interactive elements allows the client to interact with the email. Some examples would be to include a survey, games, or even a digital scratch-off component where you actually scratch off a berth to reveal a prize or a discount. Okay, let's go back to Erica for some additional trends.
Yes, trend 9. So in one of the trends that I spoke about earlier, it was mailable microsites where you actually have the navigation in the email where you can click on something. This one for trend 9 is a mobile menu optimization. And what that means is, let me draw your attention to where it says Ulta. In the top left, there's those 3 lines. That's actually called a hamburger menu. And when you click on that, it allows the email to expand. So you're not necessarily clicking off of the email, you're just wanting to expand to see what else is there. Also a trend. Trend 10 is mobile-friendly subscription forms. How many times are we actually interested in something and we click through and only to find the forms to be very tiny, not mobile optimized, and surveys have proven that consumers are getting more and more upset at brands that do this and not take that consideration.
And I'm sorry, Erica, and unfortunately, the prospect is going to click away from that site.
Exactly, they will abandon. Whereas with mobile-friendly subscription forms, you make sure that it's going to adjust to the screen that the person is reading it on.
I wanted to jump in with a statistic for you all.
Yeah.
The last one that I saw said non-mobile optimized forms will be abandoned at a rate of about 79% by a consumer.
Wow.
If they're using a mobile device when they land on that form. So that just shows the significance of making sure that we have those mobile optimized forms.
We all know it. We do it in our everyday life.
Absolutely. Exactly. We are our consumers. And 79%, that's a lot for our marketing budget.
Absolutely.
We have to make sure that we're optimizing these campaigns. Well, good. So those were the top 10 trends for 2018. And now we're going to go ahead and lead into the digital marketing that we've been talking about. We're going to talk about traditional display ads, interstitial display ads, and native. So let's go ahead and let's jump right in. Traditional display ads, this is an example, as you can see in the orange highlighted. It's a rectangle, and it would be something that you would see when you go to yahoo.com, for instance. This is an example of a traditional display ad. Usually it has the same look and feel. Once the consumer clicks on it, they go to the landing page. It's the same colors, is the best practice with the logo. Having that call to action be very clear, since you only have a couple seconds to catch the consumer once they're on the site. So that is an example of traditional. These are also traditional, but we wanted to make sure that you knew how you can take that same creative and the same look and feel across all the different sizes. We have 5 sizes that we request when we execute campaigns for clients, because we want to make sure that we get the best placement possible with utilization of the different sizes. In this example, these are actually called dynamic or animated GIFs, which means that they have loops and movement. You can also have static ads too, but sometimes, because we're creatures of habit and we're kind of zoned in, it's nice to have that movement catch our eye on the websites that we frequent. The next one is native display ads. These ads are less promotional in nature. They're more about branding and awareness, and the reason is because they're native, right? They look like they belong on the website that they're on. As you can see, this one that is in the orange rectangle, it kind of looks like it's on, like it should be there, but it is an advertisement, and they are called native display. And this one is called interstitial. Not necessarily the most popular among us consumers, because what they do is, as you're navigating and you're reading through a website, it pops up and kind of takes over your screen, and it requires a user action. Usually you have to exit out of there to be able to continue with what you are doing, and that is what interstitial display ads are. So now that we've gone over the different types of advertisements and in terms of the creative, let's go through understanding impressions, understanding frequency and visibility, and the digital marketing drivers for these ads. So understanding impressions. An impression, think of, is every time you see an advertisement, every time that it is rendering on a website. So as you saw in one of the examples for traditional ads, we went to a Yahoo website. And on Yahoo, there are many, many different size advertising space where you will see display banner ads appear. An impression is when those ads are appearing. How they are calculated is they're served when somebody goes to that website. So if you go to yahoo.com and you see the ads, you see them populate, that is called an impression, and it's calculated. Some ads you have to scroll down to the site to see, but they are still rendered, so they are still calculated. And the way that we safeguard these campaigns is by removing any in-app advertising, any vice or adult sites in nature, the leading 200 or so child-focused, because we want the marketing dollars to go towards consumers, not to be advertising for children. But it's just as important, the frequency, the calculation, and the safeguards that are put in place to prevent ads from displaying on sites that would be considered inappropriate. The frequency and visibility. Frequency is the recommended times that the ad should be served. So for a consumer, for households, the frequency recommended is anywhere between 30 and 60 impressions. So anywhere between 1 and 2 impressions of these ads per day for households. On the business side, it's a little bit more. It's 80 to 100, all within that same 30-day period. The visibility is endless. There are over 1 million websites that belong to this programmatic ad network where these ads are presented and served. And to the right, on the right hand of the slide, you'll see a sampling of some of those millions of websites where these ads would appear within the network. So now we're going to talk about digital advertising drivers, cookies, IP addresses, digital device IDs. This slide you'll have when you receive the presentation so that you can kind of address and see what the differences are. But what we'll do is we'll go ahead and move on to the next slide so that you can see something a little bit more visual. And this one is the concept of cookies. Cookies are text files that are stored on a browser that provide the means for websites to track visitors and their preferences. So in the image, you see one person on one device. And that person is on her device utilizing one specific browser. So if she goes in and let's say she looks at sunglasses. She is looking at sunglasses on that computer on let's call it Google Chrome's browser. When she goes back to her computer and browses something else, whether it be tomorrow or a week from now, up to 30 days from now, there will be cookies that are following her around with those sunglasses. If the sunglass company has advertising through cookie display, that is how it works. It's on one device, one browser for a limited time of 30 days. And that is what cookies are and what cookie advertising is like. Let's talk about the concept of IP addresses now. IP addresses are text files stored within a browser that provide a means for websites to track visitors and their preferences. But let me take a step back. So IP is Internet Protocol. It's a series of numbers that is given by your internet service provider. Everyone that is hooked up to the Wi-Fi in a household is hooked up to an IP address. Therefore, in this image, you can see multiple people on multiple devices. And what that means is that IP address targeting or display campaigns will render across every device that is hooked up to that Wi-Fi in that household. And that is IP address concept. Now the concept of device IDs. A digital device ID are the most desirable display advertising drivers because they identify first-party deterministic data. What does that mean?
It means the person has an iPhone or an iPad or a desktop. How's that one?
Exactly, Celeste. It is identifiable by device. So every device that we have, that little phone that we carry everywhere we go, the laptop, the tablet, even the computer, whatever it is, they all have device IDs. And those identifications are now part of this network where we can provide digital advertising specific to that device ID, specific to that person, which is what we mean by first-party deterministic data. In this case, you know exactly who you are serving, you know who your target audience is, and you know that that is the person that will receive the ad. So, digital display applications. We will talk to you about email retargeting. Celeste, do you want to go ahead and take this one?
I would, Erica. So, now that you have learned a little more about display advertising and how it works, we would like to show you the following applications and how they may be used for your clients. So, we're going to show you email with retargeting, direct IP targeting, large venue IP targeting, venue replay, and out-of-home targeting. So, let's begin with email with retargeting. Email with retargeting, we can increase message exposure by retargeting email recipients with digital display advertising. Okay, so I'd like to share with you an example of how we used email retargeting to help a national auto club increase their exposure with the use of email and digital device IDs. First, we compiled a custom list of prospects and served those consumers with a targeted email message. Using the same creative strategies, we developed banner ads and served the email prospects with a series of banner ads. Now, we had multiple touches, so the consumers were seeing the same ad with the same type of creative design multiple times. And the success was the campaign using both email and digital device retargeting resulted in much higher conversion rates than using email alone. As Erica always tells us, it takes many, many touches to get a conversion.
Yes. According to the DMA, it's anywhere between 7 and 13. So having the emails go out to the consumers and having them be followed around with digital display that matches that email is building that recognition and those touch points so that it gets closer to a conversion for you.
Absolutely. Okay, so the next we're going to talk about direct IP targeting. Display banner ads to specific individuals based on IP addresses, as Erica talked about earlier, and it's like direct mail delivered digitally. Okay, for an example, we are working with a regional bank, and they were using direct mail to reach new movers and offer their banking services. However, they were looking for new marketing channels to increase their members. We took their monthly new mover postal file and appended IP addresses to the file. We were then able to send a direct mail piece followed by a banner ad campaign, again, touching those people quite a few times. The client's expectations were exceeded, and the campaign is still running and producing results. So this is a great example how we used a multi-marketing campaign using postal data as well as IP banner ads.
That is a great example.
Okay, so let's turn this back over to Erica, and she will talk about some of the other applications.
I actually really like this, reverse IP targeting, and it's really neat because what it does is it gives you the ability to retarget website visitors that are anonymous to you. They may have been on your website, they may have browsed and left, or they may have gone to the extent of putting things into a shopping cart and abandoned, and you don't know who they are. So it gives you the ability to retarget to them via direct mail. So the way that would work is you would have your web analytics collect the IP addresses, provide them to AccuData. We would be able to append postal information and any other demographics for that matter for a multi-channel type of campaign. But in this particular instance, we're featuring reverse IP targeting where you can get a mail piece to the person that was on your site with anywhere between 2 to 5 days later. So I gave the example of the sunglasses earlier. If somebody is browsing sunglasses on a website and 2 to 5 days later they get a mail piece from the sunglasses, building that connection and it's building that branding. And it might even make the conversion happen if you're offering a nice deep discount on the mail piece after they have already visited your site. Meal kit sites, auto dealers, mortgage quotes, insurance quotes, it works for any high traffic website actually. The next example or application is large venue IP targeting. And for this one, think of a very large venue that has an event at a specific place and a specific time, like for example, the Daytona 500. An example would be that anyone that is at the Daytona 500 that is connected to the Wi-Fi would be receiving ads. Restaurants are a good example for this.
Exactly.
That's exactly what you want to do after the race is go out to eat.
Restaurant.
So that's a good example of venue, but there are many shows and many conferences that we're able to target for our clients to provide the venue IP targeting via the Wi-Fi that they're on. Venue replay is the ability to, again, through digital display, target consumers that have visited a specific location in the past. and we're able to target those through digital ads. So let me give you an example, like, what were you going to say?
So, Erica, if I was at a major boat show, such as in Miami,
Yes.
they could target me later to try to sell me boat insurance?
Exactly.
Oh, that's great.
So if you're a boat insurance company or you have any type of boat-related services, so to speak, or in the market to sell boats, we would be able to provide digital display to anyone that we knew were at the boat show during the time and the place that show occurred. Out-of-home targeting is just an example of device IDs. Remember when I was talking about the different digital drivers? Device ID is the ability for us to display banners outside of the home. So maybe you were at your house, you're looking for your next vacation, you're looking up hotels, cruises, whatever you want to do next for your vacation, and then you leave and you go to work and you're in the car, or you're waiting at the doctor's office. Whatever it is, it goes by device ID, and you're able to receive those digital ads, and then you start seeing the cruise ship that you looked up or the hotel that you were looking into. That is why this is out-of-home targeting via device ID. And now Celeste is going to talk about how to extend the conversation socially.
Okay, so how can we extend the conversation with social media advertising? We are going to review 4 key concepts to include ad examples, use cases, audience selection capabilities, and campaign recommendations. Okay, so this is a great example of a social media campaign. The objective, we were working with a barbecue restaurant chain in Florida, and they wanted to drive traffic to their new online ordering system and encourage their audience to download their mobile app. The solution, AccuData created a Facebook campaign with a custom audience to include 24 to 35-year-olds with an interest in barbecue and grilling that lived within a 5-mile radius of their selected stores. The outcome, we served Facebook ads to over 8,000 people and produced 494 downloads of the restaurant's mobile app. The restaurant also saw an upsurge in online orders directly associated with the downloads. So this is what we were trying to do for this Florida-based barbecue company. We were trying to get people to download apps and then use the apps to order.
Absolutely.
Success.
I remember this one. This one was so neat because it started off with a couple of restaurants.
Correct.
And then they saw such success that they wanted to do all 15.
Correct.
And now we all want barbecue for dinner.
Absolutely. Okay, so in the next few slides, Erica and I will present you with some Facebook ad samples. The first sample is the carousel ad. It is the most popular and highly recommended. These are some good types of carousel ads showing different industries. We're showing a fitness facility, some appliance dealers, as well as, again, a restaurant serving barbecue. That barbecue keeps coming to the forefront, Jeanette.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so the next sample is a video ad. These are great because they can catch the prospect's attention using movement, color, and sound.
Yes, video ads work well because we all want information quickly, and video is a good way to get that across.
We don't have to read through any text or jargon.
Absolutely. And then we also have the benefit of the visualization, the emotional appeal of actually seeing something and hearing the background music that can be set to carry an appropriate tone to the content. And it really allows the user to interact with the brand.
Absolutely. The third and final sample we are going to present is the single tile ad.
Yes, this is an example of with a mortgage.
Correct.
A mortgage calculator. It just depends on the interest of the client. Some choose one ad, some choose 3 to 5, and some choose video.
Okay, so let's get back to Erica to introduce some social media use cases.
Thank you, Celeste. So
You're welcome.
you've gone through the different types of ads that are available. Now let's talk about the goals for these campaigns, utilizing these ads. The first goal is to build awareness. such as boosting the posts, promoting the pages, getting those likes, reaching people, kind of like a brand awareness, build awareness. And goal number two, this type would be increased consideration. And this actually reminds me of what we did for the restaurant, because they wanted the engagement on their website. They wanted to increase that traffic. They wanted to increase app installs. And that's what the increased consideration type of campaign goal is. And then the third goal is to actually promote conversions. And this is where we talk about lead forms and having those lead forms optimized so that you can get website conversions and increase the app engagement, entice people to claim offers, and have more of that interaction for a more quantitative type of campaign. So now that we've talked about the type of creative and the goal of the campaign, it's very important to talk about audience selection capabilities. So the first is to target existing customers with first-party data. That would be where we would retrieve some of your first-party data or house data, your actual customers, upload them into our section of the Facebook platform so that we can find those people on social media, and they can, if they don't already, continue to follow your brand and your company within the social outlet too, not just over email or postal the way it is. The other is to build a lookalike audience from your first-party data. So now that we have uploaded the first-party data into the Facebook platform, we also have the ability to build a lookalike audience. That way, Facebook runs their algorithm to understand exactly and build exactly the same or similar audience that your first-party data represents. The other is to find prospects using the integrated data on Facebook. And as a Facebook partner, AccuData has an extended capability where we have a differentiation in audience selection. And we're also able to find prospects using our multi-source data that we have installed for here, giving us, more of an advantage to be able to get to that target audience and penetrate all of the audiences within Facebook and all of the selects that we can. And the other way for audience selection is to put a pixel, like a pixel from Facebook onto your website or onto your client's website, and you are able to then, as soon as someone goes to that website, if they have a one-to-one match as a Facebook profile owner or Facebook account owner, they will also receive your Facebook advertising just for having gone to your site. And hopefully you get more followers that way in your fan page on Facebook. So we've talked about the creative, we've talked about campaign goals, we've talked about the audience selection. The campaign recommendations that we have overall from all the campaigns that we offer, that we execute for customers here, is the recommended length of 30 days. And the carousel, I think, Celeste, you touched on this already.
Yes, I did.
The carousel ad has proven to have the most click-through rates and conversion, which is anywhere between 3 and 5 ads in one carousel. And again, as us being a Facebook partner, we will be able to optimize the real-time bidding for you that happens behind the scenes so that your display advertising within Facebook is recognized and optimized by the audience that you want to have. We will assist with the management of your campaign, and now more than ever, it's more important to actually understand and monitor and manage the optimization of these campaigns as Facebook continues to change their algorithm. So that's important too. We'll manage that campaign for you, provide reporting, and with that reporting comes an analysis so you know what to do next with your subsequent campaigns. So now that we've discussed the digital display angle and the social media on Facebook, let's talk about introducing these multi-channel campaigns. So as we conclude today's presentation, I want to present to you a custom workflow that you can apply to your current customer projects today. So let's talk about this multi-channel marketing workflow. And this is a recommendation workflow for clients that you have that would already have a postal file. So number one, you would perform a postal hygiene such as an NCOA or an address standardization. And once that's complete, now you know that that postal file condition is in excellent condition, and then you can append email addresses. The appending of email addresses can be done either on an individual level to that person or at a household level. And of course, email verification would come naturally as part of that email append to make sure that those email addresses are verified to receive email and that they're not invalid or bouncing or anything like that. So once you've got your postal hygiene done, you've got the email append, we can still append other demographics and for segmentation so that we can segment creative later. Think about the differences, for example, of a creative that would appeal to a baby boomer versus creative that appeals to a millennial. These are the types of segmentation things that we think about at this stage in the game. And then number 4, afterwards, you perform a permission pass with the loyalty platform. And what that means is exactly what it says, right? Permission. We would deploy an email on behalf of your brand to these emails that were appended saying, hey, welcome to this brand, and giving them a warm welcome. And if they want to opt out, they can do that at that time. Otherwise, they are being welcomed to the brand. And from there, once you receive these emails, you can create workflows, or AccuData can help with workflows that are executed to promote the most engagement and increase engagement, whether it's a click versus a non-clicker, an opener versus a non-opener, differentiate the workflows by generational cohort, for example, and the options are endless to work with. But most importantly is number 6, to create those additional touch points, retarget these emails and these people with display and social media. So they're seeing it in postal, they're seeing it in the email, they're seeing it everywhere they browse online, and then they hop on to social media and they see you again. And that is where you build that brand, you build the excitement for the brand, people start talking about it, not to mention the touch points that are needed to create that recognition for a conversion for your brand.
That was amazing, ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking our attendees through today's Digital Marketing Bootcamp. I know that we have covered a lot of information today, and we have several questions that have started coming in. So I would like to go ahead and begin addressing those. So our first question is, do I have to do an email blast before I do banner ads? Celeste, would you go ahead and take that for us, please?
Sure, Jeanette. Okay. We would like to recommend using digital display with email marketing as it increases the number of impressions. We keep talking about brand awareness and number of impressions. So we like to recommend using both an email campaign with digital display advertising. You do not have to do it. As we said, we were using a multi-channel approach using postal data and IP targeting.
That's right, and even from the websites too. Some of those anonymous visitors, you can also retarget that way too.
Exactly, and we don't do, we can do an email blast and then do banner ads and then do a Facebook campaign. But we like to do multiple because more impressions lead to more conversions.
Absolutely. Okay, so the next question coming in is about Facebook advertising, and we have a guest that says they have access to Facebook ads on their business page, and they would like to know if there's something that AccuData is able to do that they are not able to do.
This is a good question. I actually get this question quite a bit. AccuData, as I mentioned, is a Facebook partner, so we do have access to advertising features and functions that a business manager on a Facebook page alone won't have. But most importantly, what's important is that with the new algorithm changes in Facebook, that you have someone that is able to manage and constantly monitor and optimize your bidding spend, and that's what we execute and manage. That's how we manage the campaigns, and that's key right now as a differentiator.
Excellent, Erica, thank you. I'd like to give you the next question as well, Erica. We have someone that is asking if you can provide some examples of how the reverse IP targeting would work on a larger scale, because they're concerned that it might be a little bit one-off if we're just looking at specific visitors coming to their site. So how do we scale that for a larger audience?
Absolutely. Yes, that's a good question. So assuming that the site has a high traffic, I don't know, let's call it 5,000 visitors per day, or I'm sorry, 5,000 visitors per month, once we are able to get the IP addresses from the webmaster of that page, then we are able to append endless types of information. IP, the reverse targeting specifically, was about postal. So we would be able to grab the IP addresses and append postal to those. But to your question is what next, right? The direct mail piece would be sent anywhere between 2 and 5 days later, but then what? And that's where appending the other demographics is key. We can append an email address. We already know what the IP address is, so alongside the direct mail piece that gets dropped automatically, we could upload the IP address into our programmatic display platform and serve them digital display ads. Then you can follow up with an email saying, hey, thanks for visiting my site. Did you get my mail piece? And building that workflow to hopefully get that conversion over time.
Excellent, Erica. Thank you so much. Celeste, I'm going to shoot another question back over to you.
Okay,
this is a follow-up regarding the email deployments and banner ads. So we have an audience member that is asking for some clarification. When it comes to email retargeting, they are asking if we append the IP address to the email address they have in their house list.
Yes, we can. In the case study I talked about how we helped a large auto club, we actually did email with digital device ID retargeting. So we actually matched those email addresses to a digital device ID, such as a mobile phone or a laptop or an iPad. But in this case, you can also do an IP targeting campaign as well. Absolutely, Jeanette.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Erica, follow-up question for you on reverse IP targeting. So the same guest is asking if they have a customer that has visited the website, that means that the mail piece would not go out, correct? Because what we're really looking to do is identify people that have done some type of behavior, maybe like putting something in their shopping cart, but they haven't actually completed the transaction. So would you just clarify how that works?
Absolutely. Great question. So there would be, we could ask you for a suppression list. That way we know who your customers are, because the intent is to gain new ones, to have lead generation, to understand who's visiting your website anonymously. So in those terms, once we receive the IP addresses from the webmaster of your site, we also would receive a suppression list. And once we append the information and suppress it from them, then you're only delivering direct mail and any other marketing channel that you'd like to append to new, not to existing.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Erica. In the interest of time, we're only going to take the next two questions. And Celeste, I'd like to go ahead and address this one to you, please. We have an attendee that's asking if it's possible to only target specific devices when we're working with these types of digital campaigns.
Oh, absolutely. When we're doing digital device ID, we actually have an ID for each and every device. Therefore, we can target specific types of devices, such as iPhones versus desktop computers. And this is really kind of like another segmentation, because if you're working with millennials, they might be more apt to be on their mobile device, and you want to serve the ad to that device. Whereas if you're working with seniors, they might be more apt to be on a desktop, and that's where you would want to serve their banner ads.
Excellent. That's a great example.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so Erica, this next question is going to be the last one we take. I'm going to go ahead and send this over to you. Would you explain again the differences between IP addresses and device IDs, please?
Absolutely. An IP address is a string of numbers that identifies each computer or device using the internet.
Erica, let me jump in there for 1 second. Just to put this in layman's terms, think about when you go to Comcast and you sign up for your cable and your internet service, and they give you the modem.
Yep.
That's where this IP address is coming through.
Yes, that's exactly
Okay, I just
right.
wanted to make it a little simpler.
That's perfect, yes. And then on the flip side, a device ID is a string of numbers associated to a specific mobile device. So your phone, your mobile phone, your iPad, those all have specific mobile device IDs. IP addresses allow us to market to the household, to all the people that are connected to that router and modem that
So
you were
even if
saying.
your friends are over and they say, what's your password?
Yes.
And you give them your house password, they're going to be served those ads as well.
Exactly. And then with a device ID, it allows you to market to the individual specifically on that device, wherever they go online.
Perfect. And I know I said that we were only taking those last two questions, but we had one that came in that is so relevant to what you just spoke to.
Okay.
I'd like you to go ahead and address this, please. So we have an attendee asking if the IP address is attached to the postal address or if the IP address gets attached to all of the addresses in the ZIP+4. So that would make a big difference with targeting. Will you clarify that for everyone, please?
Absolutely. So, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we are doing the IP address matching, are we appending to the actual postal address, or are we appending the IP address to all of the addresses in a ZIP+4?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Specifically to that postal address, not all of them. We have to, we are able to go a little bit more granular so that we are serving the right household.
Excellent.
Good
Thank
question.
you. Thank you. That was an excellent question, and it was in perfect relation to what you had just spoken to, so I wanted to make sure that we addressed it. And with that, folks, we are out of time for today. We certainly appreciate all the questions that you've addressed. For anyone that submitted a question that we did not get to, we will address those with you via your account representative either today or tomorrow. I certainly thank you for the questions and for the excellent participation. And on behalf of Erica, Celeste, the entire AccuData team, and myself, I would like to thank you for attending today's webinar. I invite you to contact us if you have any questions that we can address regarding how you can incorporate digital marketing into your own product toolkit. Have a terrific rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.